Welcome back. Republicans once demanded morality in their politicians. Now it appears not so much. Just listen to what Lindsey Graham said on this program as House Republicans weighed whether to impeach Democratic President Bill Clinton 25 years ago for obstruction of justice and perjury.
It's one thing to go and commit a crime. It's another thing to flaunt it in front of the American people and never admit to your wrongdoing. If the president would have the character to come forward and admit to the wrongdoing that I think is obviously there, then maybe I would treat him differently. What I'm looking for is a president that has a character trait to lead the American people, that will put his interests secondary to the American people. I'm looking for somebody who's repentant, somebody who understands they made not just a mistake but violated the law. The law allows people to be treated differently if they'll come before the court and said, I'm sorry, I'm guilty. But somebody that plays the games to the bitter end, tries to have it both ways, dances on the head of the pin, in my opinion, has forfeited their right to lead this country.
So, does character matter in the Republican Party? Russell Moore has been one of the highest profile conservative evangelical voices speaking out against Donald Trump. From 2013 until his resignation in 2021, he was the president of the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission of the Southern Baptist Convention. Now, he's the editor-in-chief of Christianity Today. Dr. Moore, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thanks for having me, Chuck. Good to be with you.
I want to repeat the last sentence there from Senator Graham. Again, 25 years ago, this was Lindsey Graham. Somebody that plays the games to the bitter end, tries to have it both ways, dances on the head of a pin, in my opinion, has forfeited their right to lead this country. I want to get your reaction to that. That was 1998. Where are we today?
Well, it was right in 1998, and it's right now. And that's part of what's so confusing to many of us who were taught in the 1990s that character matters and are now told by often the very same people that it doesn't. I mean, evangelical Christianity emphasizes that the internal affects the external. And the fact that a person's character in private has everything to do with his or her character in public. That has always been the case, and that's always been the issue here, is does character matter or does it not?
You know, even former Vice President Pence was kind of dismissive of the defamation verdict against with E. Jean Carroll against the former president, you know, saying, well, I think this is something that the media cares more about. It was shocking. That was a shocking reaction for me coming from the former vice president. Was it to you?
I'm not sure what's going on in Vice President Pence's mind at this point. I know it was a shocking moment for me, even after everything that we've seen. And what's primarily shocking is the fact that here we are in a week where a former president of the United States is found liable for sexual abuse and sexual assault and defamation of a woman who survived such abuse and assault, and the country just yawns for the most part. That tells me that something has really, really badly gone awry in this country. And you add to it the demeanor and the content of President Trump's deposition to simply shrug off and defend the Access Hollywood comments. In 2015, I said that President Trump had or Donald Trump at the time, had the attitude toward women of a Bronze Age warlord. In that deposition, he said, yeah, as a matter of fact, predated it back to millions of years ago, and said, unfortunately or fortunately, that's the way that it is. Well, think about the teenage girl in a church somewhere who's being abused by her youth pastor, wondering whether to come forward. And she hears not only that, but when the victim is ridiculed by a presidential candidate in front of a crowd, the response is laughter. That has devastating implications.
You know, 8 years ago, when Donald Trump first ran, there was a divide inside the evangelical community, and there was a lot of hand-wringing, and many came down on the side of, well, if the choice is between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump will appoint the judges that I like. You seem to indicate, after Donald Trump announced his re-election plans after the November 2022 midterms, that you didn't sense a divide anymore in the evangelical community, that politically they're all in. Do you still sense that?
Well, I think that's probably true with the politically activated, politically energized base. I don't think that's true of everyone. And that's one of the reasons why we see churches divided. We see families divided. I mean, one of the most dismaying aspects of the Trump years is the fact that Donald Trump is at the center of everything. Almost every congregation that I know is either divided or tense about these sorts of political controversies coming out of the Trump years. Almost every family that I know has people who don't speak to each other anymore about this personality and this figure. And I think there are a lot of people, including conservative evangelicals like me, who are looking at this and saying, are we really going to do this again? Haven't we seen this already? Do we really want to repeat it? And I suppose that will be the question for the rest of the year.
What would you like to see from other candidates? I mean, it seems that they're very much don't want to make a character case against the former president.
Well, I think someone needs to step forward and talk about the importance of character and talk about the importance of having someone who can be trusted to have the nuclear codes. I mean, we really need someone to step forward and say, let's remember what's at stake here. We're not just choosing what kind of entertainment we're going to have for the next 6 years. We're talking about the direction of the country, and we're talking about what our children are seeing and potentially will replicate. If you have an entire generation who only grow up seeing this, what's going to happen? We need somebody who will make that case and say it. And right now, among candidates, among elected officials, sometimes even among church officials, there's fear. No one wants to speak to this because they're afraid of what will happen to them. The stakes are too high.
Last question. Is there any circumstance you could imagine supporting Donald Trump?
Well, I can't speak for all evangelicals. I can only speak for myself. And Jesus said, let your yes be yes and your no be no. I'll let my never be never.
Dr. Russell Moore, the editor-in-chief of Christianity Today, appreciate you coming on and sharing your perspective with us. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.